Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Gimme Camper. So we've done a lot of electrical upgrades in the last couple of months and I've not made any videos on them. So I'm going to kind of go back and make a series about that now. And it's going to kind of show you step by step of kind of how we got to where we ended up with this thing. Because we made a lot of changes. But one of the first things that we did is we changed our power inlet. We were adding a power watchdog, which will be next week's video. But because we were doing that and we had to get into the wiring anyway there, it was a great opportunity for us to replace our power inlet. Last winter when I installed my transfer switch, I had to remove the inlet and the gasket was messed up. So when I reinstalled it, I used some chemlink M1 to go around it. And this stuff worked fairly well. However, the next time that I went to open the cover, that caulking was so strong that it bonded so tightly to the inlet that it broke the hinge off of the cover when I went to lift it up. And so because of that, it's just kind of been rigged, and I've just been kind of placing that cover on there after I plug everything in just to give it a little protection from the weather. And surprisingly, it's not blowed off going down the road, but it's something that I knew that I was going to have to fix. And so we thought that right now would be a great time to do that and to show you how we fix. You know, one of the main reasons that I wanted to do this is because I was afraid that there could be some water intrusion into the top of this box where the caulking wasn't very secure anymore. And so I reached out to RecPro and they sent me their 50 amp power inlet. I did receive this product free of charge for an honest review, and so that's what I'm doing for you guys today. And unfortunately, we're going to have some good points and not so good points about this, but overall I feel like it's a great product. The installation process was fairly simple, as you disconnect the old power inlet and place the wires into the color-coded receptacles. It was very helpful that everything was already color-coded and right there where you needed it to be, and you didn't have to do any guesswork on it. You didn't have to trace any wires. You put the red wire where the red circle is, and the green wire where the green circle is, and the black wire where the black circle is, and the white wire where the white circle is. Not a big deal. So whenever we took the old power inlet off, you know, you take the 4 screws off of the wall outside, and then you use a razor blade to kind of cut around the sealant that's there, try to free it up and pry it off. And sometimes you can use like a little plastic putty knife or something, stick in there and kind of loosen it up, but it's usually not that bad. And then to get all that old sealant off, what I found is really helpful is to use some WD-40 and just like a window scraper, scrape that off. Now the window scraper that I had originally was very cheap and it was kind of digging in a little bit, so I put that thing down and we got a different one. But all in all, it's not that big of an issue. Now where the new one does fall short a little bit is the shape of it's hard to cover up all of that stuff, and I fooled with getting all that off as much as I was going to, and there's still a little bit of residue left, but you know, it is what it is. Also to note, I had to go back and do something else and kind of change these wires a little bit later on down the road, and I did have a loose connection. So, and I was looking out for that initially. What my problem was, and when I was first putting it together, I thought maybe this thing's not as good as what I thought it would be, but it was really the screwdriver that I had. And once I got a quality screwdriver that fit the screw a lot better, it was all downhill from there, and it was all easy. Make sure those connections are good and tight though, because that's what a lot of the failure points are with this RV electrical stuff, is having loose electrical connections, especially with the power inlet. So after you reassemble that, what you do is you put those wires in the color-coded areas, and then you put the boot back on top of that. It's not a big deal. Then you kind of put it back in the RV, and I didn't use any sealant behind it because it has a good gasket, but I did use sealant around it after I got done. But the problem that I had, like I say, is when I put it back in the RV wall, because it's not a square, you know, it's not the traditional square shape that a lot of these RV inlets are. It didn't cover the existing footprint. I actually had to go in and make a piece of wood on the inside to sandwich from the other way so I could get all my screws in, because the area, the holes were a little bit smaller in diameter than what the original ones were. Now I got all that taken care of. There was one little area of a hole that was showing. that you could just see the very edge of on the gasket, and that's why I was afraid it was going to leak. So I did use the chemlink M1, and I went all the way around that, trying to seal it up really good so I don't have any issues with water intrusion in the future. A couple of things that I really like about this RV inlet. Number one is that it does seem to be very high quality, especially the hinged area, the cover that folds up. It's very strong, a lot stronger than those traditional ones. The one that I had snap off, no, it wasn't totally its fault on that because I did have some glue on there. But I will say it feels a lot more sturdy. I also like the confirmatory light that's on there. So if power's going to that RV inlet, there's a light on top of that cover that lights up green, and you know that it's getting power. So if your power goes out and your breakers inside are on, and you go out there to the bench, to the power pole, and those breakers are on, you can tell real easily if the power's coming into the RV or not, because if that light's on, then that means that it's getting power from the pole, and that power's just not making it all the way inside somehow. And so it can help you narrow down where your issue is what I'm trying to say. The only complaint that I have about it is just because of that, the size and shape and how it didn't cover up completely the plug that was already there. So, you know, because of that, like if you're doing a new installation, I think this is going to be great for you. If you're replacing an old one, just know that that could be a little bit of an issue because that pre-existing hole that you have may be a little bit larger and cause you some issues getting this in. However, it didn't really take a whole lot of fabrication for me to fix the issue myself. And talking about that shape, I actually like the shape better, but the whole thing is just getting the hole covered and making sure that it's waterproof. So all that being said, I believe this is a good product. I've been using this for a few trips. It's probably been like 6 months that I've had this thing installed now. Hadn't had any issues with it. Nothing negative to say about it after I got it hooked up. And like I say, the build quality seems to be very good when compared to the one that I removed. So guys, that's all I have for you about the RecPro power inlet. You know, like I say, if you're looking for one, give it a try. I think it's a great product.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.